Yeah, and yet you find that there's also people like Subhash Chandra Bose,
Of course.
right, who essentially migrated out of India and raised their own army.
Yes.
Why is it that his role in the independence movement is sometimes stifled by modern scholars?
So there are multiple reasons for this. Some of this is politics, right? Subhash Chandra Bose and his brother Sarat Chandra had a huge sort of quarrel with the within the Congress party. They were prominent Congress people, and their battle really was with Gandhi, Patel, and Nehru.
Hmm.
Specifically, Patel, they really did not like, Sharad Bose and Subhash Chandra Bose, particularly did not like Patel because they thought Sardar Patel was doing injustice by, trying to sideline Subhash Bose,
Mm.
because Subhash Bose was, in a sense, becoming even more famous and even more popular than Gandhi.
Really?
Right. And there's an infamous letter that, Subhash Chandra Bose was actually, in a sense, thrown out of the presidentship of the Congress party, and there is a whole history to this. But Subhash Chandra Bose really was one of the most dynamic, influential, popular figures of the Congress until at least they argued this, the Congress, especially led by Gandhi and Patel and Nehru, sidelined them. Now, seen from the perspective of Patel and Gandhi, they saw that Subhash Bose would not accept in its entirety Gandhi's framework of nonviolence.
Uh-huh.
Because Subhash Bose said that, well, freedom is our birthright. Whatever takes us to freedom. You say nonviolence will take us to freedom, sure, but perhaps there could be other paths to freedom also. Whereas Gandhi, Nehru, and Patel, ever since Gandhi came into the picture, were determined that non-violence is the only path.
Mm.
Right? And therefore, Subhash Bose was, in a sense, sidelined. And Sarat Bose, I told you, they wrote this infamous letter complaining that, Patel was the person who had sidelined Subhash Bose and so on and so forth. But Subhash Bose, remember, was in house arrest in Kolkata, and he disguised like Shivaji escaped from Aurangzeb's clutches. Subhash Bose escaped from his British captors' clutches, traveled via the land route, went all the way, to Europe, met the enemy's enemy, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. The
And
Axis
this is
powers.
the Axis powers, including, of course, the Italians and the Germans, the Nazi party. Now, there, because of his, his meeting people in the Nazi party, and I think he met Hitler once, and this is debated how many times he met Hitler and so on and so forth, but once certainly. And there also, the meeting didn't go very well. And yet, the left has used that often to say that, he was fascist. He was not fascist. Subhash Bose was not fascist by any stretch of imagination. But this canard has been spread.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been a useful canard because, the Congress also wanted to sideline him. The Marxists also wanted to sideline him.
Mm.
Imagine, I'll tell you, when Subhash Bose's statue was coming up, the new statue a few years ago in central Delhi at Rajpath, at Vijaypath now. So there, a whole bunch of British people on Twitter began to really complain, saying, oh, India's putting a fascist person. So the British also didn't like it, right? Because you see, if India begins to valorize people like Subhash Bose, then we are valorizing our revolutionary history. The British don't want us to know this history.
Yeah.
They don't want us to care about this history. They want a history where, the British were doing something and they were building railways for us. And at some point we protested, saying, oh, we will fast and we will do, non-violent protest. The British, in their, their real uprightness, said, okay, fine, since you're protesting, fine, take back your country. Here you are, we'll go, bye-bye. Then we stood in front of the cameras, Mountbatten and Gandhi and Nehru and all of them stood in front of the cameras, put the flag up. Lo, behold, it was all happy. That's the story the British want us to know. Right? And this is a story that quote unquote intellectuals after independence shoved down everybody's throat. That, oh, non-violent struggle. This is not to diminish Gandhi. Don't misunderstand me.
Mm-hmm.
I am not somebody who wants to diminish or denigrate Gandhiji at all. In fact, I think Gandhi's contribution will it has its own staying power.
Yeah.
It will be with us as long as the Indian Republic is there. But Gandhi and Nehru and even Patel are just one part of the story. There are other parts of the story. There's a naval revolt that happens off the coast of Mumbai, the city that you have now adopted. And the British get really frightened. That's why they leave very quickly. They were supposed to leave a little later. They get frightened that, imagine, the British were the great naval power of their time.
Right.
If you can't even control the ships, if you can't even control the navy, there's no hope of controlling India. Right? So, but therefore, the British even today don't want us to valorize a Subhash Bose, a Savarkar, a Khudiram Bose, an Aurobindo, a Prafullo Chaki, a Master Surya Sen, and one can go on and on. All the great revolutionaries of India, right? They don't want us to know these stories because they always want this, whitewashed tale, so to speak.
They want a diplomatic victory that was done through talks and treaties as opposed to violence.
And then we did non-violent marching, and then we made some salt, and lo behold, independence was given to us. That's really not true.